A lot has been said about Rocksteady's return to the Arkhamverse with the hotly anticipated but very poorly received Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. There have been fair criticisms of a botched early access launch where the servers went down twice and purchasers of the deluxe edition were not given the skins they'd paid for. There has been a huge backlash to the story, and to be fair, I do understand people's reactions to it, even if I don't agree. But an awful lot of rubbish has been spouted across social media about the game, some of it completely untrue, other parts exaggerated to the point of utter ridiculousness. So what is the truth? Was Suicide Squad really that bad? Was it as unplayable and unbearable as critics and fanboys online say? Or has there been an insane overreaction to a good game? I had to plat it myself to find out, so you don't have to. So buckle up everyone, because here's everything you need to know before you platinum Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
With as few spoilers as possible.
So let's go. First impressions. The game has a pretty lengthy tutorial before you even get to the credits. You rifle through each character, learning their traversal mechanics and the basic combat system of the game. We then get to meet Amanda Waller, the biggest badass in the DCU, the ice-cold head of Argus and leader of Task Force X. With Brainiac's invasion already fully underway, Waller informs us that the entire Justice League has fallen under the Collector of Worlds' thrall. As we get to know the characters and their relationships, we travel to the Hall of Justice, former home of Earth's Guardians, Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, and the League's lone survivor, Wonder Woman. A few free trophies pop as we pick up our traversal tools from Iliga. Harley gets the mini bat drone, Boomerang gets the Speed Force gauntlet, Deadshot gets a very cool jetpack, and King Shark gets the Hat of Invisibility. Or not.
Where'd the shark go?
Children.
After an early warning from the Brainiac-controlled Batman, Task Force X lives up to their name as they head out to kill the Justice League, because this is undoubtedly a suicide mission. The first recruit. Brainiac's minions are running amok all over the beautiful landscape of Metropolis. We can see the city is brighter and more welcoming than the dark, dangerous streets of Arkham's Gotham that we're used to. Or at least it was before Brainiac, who, in my opinion, looks like Lord Voldemort on his way to Pride. Fuck happened to this guy's nose? Did he find Johnny Depp's jar of dirt or something? Another bug here, and this is my biggest issue with the game's story. Brainiac isn't trying to bottle a city and destroy the planet, oh no. This is his usual MO and has been for decades in all media. In the Arkhamverse, Brainiac wishes to terraform Earth into New Kolu, a replacement for his own planet Kolu, the planet that he destroyed and killed everybody on in most incarnations. Kind of like his whole shtick. Okay. It's like they saw General Zod's arc in Man of Steel and just applied that to Brainiac. The problem is Brainiac isn't played by the brilliant Michael Shannon, and this game was not directed by creative genius Zack Snyder. We recruit the reluctant Penguin as our first squad member for the Foul Play Bronzer, and soon he'll help us overhaul our gear. After unlocking him, he can make or overhaul weapons for you in the Hall of Justice. Overhauling, which earns you a trophy for the first time you do it, resets stats on your items. Sometimes they improve, but most of the time they don't. Penguin's items are relatively decent at the game's start, but don't really improve as the story progresses. You are better off with the weapons and mods you receive as mission rewards, as they pack more of a punch and usually have additional buffs attached to them. In my playthrough, that's where I got all my best gear. You will need to recruit Hack, Toyman, and 2 secret characters whose reveals would be mega spoilers, so I won't mention them. All these characters provide weapons, but more importantly, boost your gear. This is the best way to create an effective build. Just complete all the missions to unlock their highest level perk. With Toyman, this means you can elite an item of gear. Again, a trophy drops the first time you do this. Pay attention as you unlock new options as the story progresses, as you will need to understand the gear system fully to make the most of it. Also, be aware that some weapons and mods have downsides. So there's the grenade in the game that deals 240,000 damage and has a huge blast radius. But you equip it at the cost of your shield depleting over time and grenade capacity being reduced to just 1. Day 2. My second day in the game, I popped the level up bronzer for bringing a character up to level 10. Now, there is a lot of leveling up involved in Suicide Squad, and like most live service games, this is a fucking slog. First, you'll have to reach level 30 with all 4 characters. Then you'll have to reach squad level 50, which is a totally different system exclusive to the post-game. You will also need to reach Final Crisis level 60 to access the higher mastery levels, which you will have to grind for the Infamy Set trophies. But we'll get to that. Day 2 was pure story progression. In fact, we managed to get most of the way through it in our little group and had a blast being the bad guys together. Unfortunately, that progress was made in Louis Kung Fui's save, so when I returned to my own game, I had to play catch up. But then I got distracted cleaning up Ghost Runner 2's platinum, so that took me a few days before I went back to the game. When I did, I focused on the main story and the side objectives, leveling up both my character and my gear on the way and rejoining my boys, but still hours behind them. Finally reaching level 30 with King Shark, at least I was able to hold my own when we teamed up. Mostly. Getting really lucky. Now thanks to P-Bro and Shadow rushing ahead like elite Formula 1 race car drivers while I slowly lagged behind in my Mini Cooper, they did a lot of the grinding so that when I rejoined them, a flurry of trophies popped for me much quicker than they did for them, and probably quicker than they will for you. With a boosting group playing ahead of you in the main story makes this platinum a lot quicker and far less tedious. The grind of unlocking all the mastery level missions must have been truly monotonous. I plopped this flurry of trophies for completing mastery level 20, acquiring the tier 1 Infamy Set, completing an incursion mission and unlocking a villain synergy, a useful weapon boosting mechanic in the game. A heartfelt thank you to P-Bro and Shadow for being truly Knuff and throwing some of that Kenergy my way. I am back to finish the story proper, with the final fight against Brainiac being really interestingly built up to in the game. Final support squad missions. But the villain synergy was the most impactful enhancement I could now make. Finishing the support squad missions meant I could now get Toyman to elite gear and, spoilers, to overcharge items too. The afflictions you can add to weapons turn them turbo and are vital to taking down more shielded or powerful enemies. A lucky break. The next stage of my platinum adventure would be to level up my squad to 50, one of the several leveling up trophies the game throws at us. Now I was pretty lucky with this one right from the start. I shot up thanks to joining P-Bro's game and doing a mastery level with him. But when I went to finish the grind myself, planning to use every piece of gear that had an XP boost attached to it, and selecting the squad support contracts carefully. You need to complete 100 of these mini tasks anyway for the need-to-know bronzer, which really should be added to this list of absolute ball-ache bronzers. Link in the description. But lucky for us all, a bug gave us a quick and easy way to score mega XP and level up in no time. The final Gizmo mission had a bug that rewarded you with 1400 XP per kill. All we had to do was just not finish the mission. Now the rest of us had already finished Gizmo side missions, so could not enter the level and use that XP exploit. Luckily for us, Spedgy, the greatest thing to come out of Canada since Ryan Reynolds, hadn't finished that level and let us all jump in and use his game. I got that trophy. After an hour or so, I had all the XP I needed and the elusive Trial by Blood Silvo popped. Sadly, this little exploit was actually patched during my time grinding it and now only rewards 700 XP per kill from a vehicle. This is probably still the best place to go in the game to grind out some XP, just don't finish the level, so you can keep going back in and out and in and out and just grinding those kills.
Remember, don't pull your dick out until she asks.
But you can also replay chapters, and we didn't know this as we grinded away like idiots, but they actually reward you much more XP, so you should do those instead. Infamy Sets 2 and 3. To do these solo would be a grind only the truly sociopathic would attempt. Not only do you have to complete these identical missions over and over and over and over and over and over, but you also have to do them at the highest difficulty. It's not particularly hard, as Rocksteady only changed how much damage enemies can take. By mastery level 20, the destroyers in particular are ridiculous. Bullet sponges that come packing 4 separate fucking health bars and then explode on death. How fucking wonderful. The most frustrating element of these higher levels, however, is the giant purple beam of pain. The beam of misery incarnate that just comes out of fucking nowhere, fills a huge amount of space, and seemingly follows your movements as they cross each other's streams, creating nothing short of absolute total fucking chaos. Gunfire rains down from above, snipers attack from miles away, oh and their guns somehow zap you of your traversal skills, so all you can do is fucking wall run. Which makes these levels unbearable, by the way. Grunts fire from below, and every shield they construct deals you damage if you touch them. These levels aren't hard, they're just chaotic and rather annoying. The problem is that they're really, really badly designed, and they are really lazily built. They're just shit in every way. Luckily, they are better with a good boosting team. After a few runs, I was rewarded with all the items required for the Infamy Set trophies and ran back to my own game to equip them and pop the trophies. For whatever reason, they just won't pop in someone else's game. Worst Riddler trophies to date. Now, I will breeze through this part as the 40 Riddler trophies aren't as bad or as fun as the Arkham trilogy. In those games, every trophy you find has lore attached to it and requires you to think about how you will actually get at it. They're delivered in infuriating little traps and puzzles that you have to survive or solve to unlock. This makes them key to the player's experience. Love them or hate them, you have to respect and appreciate the work the devs did to include them and make them such an important part of the game. But Suicide Squad has no puzzles and traps, just 40 Riddler trophies randomly dotted around the map. The only challenge connected to them is having to put up with Nigma's incessant chuntering. I turned the game's dialogue off for the remainder of my time with the game. The Riddler trophies were added purely to waste our time, not to get us to explore or learn the gadgets or moves our character was using, as is the case for the Arkham trilogy's exceptional use of collectibles. Not to challenge us or excite us, no. Suicide Squad adds Riddler trophies for the sake of collectibles. It's really poor from Rocksteady, but I do get it. The game feels 80% finished throughout. There's a great game in here somewhere, but I don't think we'll ever see it reach its full potential because it was released far too early and clearly had far too much interference during production. Yet again, Discovery Warner and its utterly clueless CEO Steve Zaslav prove they have no idea what they're doing with the company and have no understanding of what its fans and customers want from them. The riddles themselves are as benign and easy as the trophies, but at least drop nods to characters of the DCU we don't see in the game. Some of these little nods enforce to me what the rest of the game could have been had Zaslav and his team of morons just stayed the fuck out of it. To you, Steve, as a die-hard, lifelong Warner Brothers fan, please just sell DC to literally anyone. You're going to destroy one of the greatest franchises on the planet and lose us hardcore fans. Or as you see us, your fucking customers. All in all, the Riddler trophies, challenges and riddles took me less than an hour. To say I was disappointed would be a huge understatement. Sadly, the AR challenges are as uninspiring and easy as the God of War Ragnarok ones. I have to admit I am getting mighty fed up with developers making up boring, easy, unimaginative challenges in their games. The drop in quality from the Arkham games challenges to Suicide Squad's is truly concerning, even more so than Santa Monica dropping the challenge ball with Ragnarok. Support contracts. All that was left for me was about 40 support contracts and getting Harley and Boomerang to level 30. Both pretty close already thanks to how I switched characters regularly throughout my gameplay and used every XP boosting piece of gear I could get my grubby little hands on. I ran around completing kill list contracts and hell squad lists to boost my XP and just grinded out for a few hours until that need to know bronzer finally popped. I noticed during my grind several contracts didn't register and I actually estimate I did between 150 and 120, so be careful, check on them regularly to be safe. Best advice for these is to focus on them from the start and prioritise the ones with XP as rewards. They usually offer around 1000 XP each. The final push. So from there, all I had was to get Boomerang level up a few more levels to reach 30, and I had the one trophy that I intentionally saved for last. Every time I loaded up the game, all I had was repetitive and boring as fuck missions, so this final stretch was a little bit boring, but not at all hard. Another hour or so of grinding and that final leveling up trophy popped as I got Captain Boomerang to level 30. The final trophy that I saved for last was done so that I could depart Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League by reliving all the wonderful and sad times I shared with Kevin Conroy's Batman in the Arkham trilogy. My hero, my Batman, I returned to the Batman Museum and relived the Batman experience. I felt this was a fitting way to say goodbye to a game I have a complicated relationship with and an idol I adore. Rest in peace, Kevin. Thank you for everything. Ratings! So obviously I can't hate on this game, nor do I want to. I won't. It's not cool. It's not clever. The base game itself is very fun. The traversal and combat, highly enjoyable and pretty addictive. Little difference in the combat systems for each character make much more of a difference than I think people are admitting. It's the combination of traversal and combat that you really see the intricate differences. For example, Boomerang has a dash ability that is brilliant in combat. Deadshot can hover above enemies with his jetpack. Shark's melee is the closest range of all the characters, but is also the most powerful. And Harley's overshoot traversal mechanic, identical to Batman's in Arkham Knight, is useful in reaching snipers that have a nasty habit of teleporting when you get too close to them. The base story is slightly controversial, but there is a lot of evidence to say that people are overreacting. When it comes to Batman's arc, he is truly terrifying in this game, and he will make you feel like you're being spied on. constantly. Conroy's performance is out of this world, and this is a very different Batman to what we're used to, whether you're an Arkham fan or whether you are a Batman fan in general. This Batman goes to places that you may not have seen Batman go, and I can understand why you might not like it, but if you read Elseworlds titles or, canonical DC books, Batman does some pretty dark stuff and goes to some pretty dark places. His actions in Suicide Squad make total sense for a Batman of the Arkhamverse being controlled by Brainiac. His presence is felt throughout the game, and this version of him, controlled of course by Brainiac, is vastly different to what Arkham fans were expecting. It doesn't make it bad. Finally on Batman, the idea the game betrays Batman or does him dirty is pretty dumb. This was Conroy's last ride in the cowl, in a video game at least. If he believed in the script, then that's good enough for me. However, the story does end in the worst possible way, with absolutely no ending at all. Just a continued in the multipass, and leaving you in a barren, half-destroyed metropolis with only a handful of missions to play over and over and over again! For this reason and the unbelievable grind you will likely have to do, I cannot give this game higher than a 6 out of 10 for fun. The witty bants between squad members, the gameplay itself, and the fantastic metropolis we inhabit are all fantastic, but the game feels unfinished everywhere. Difficulty is a 4 out of 10 as everything can be boosted and nothing is actually hard, even in solo mode. Sure, personally I put the difficulty up to earn more XP, but you can still grind out on the easiest difficulty if you want to. It'll just take longer. Time spent with the game is around 40 hours, which isn't too bad. 25 of these hours were great fun. 5 of those hours were rough, but good boosting fun, and the final 10 were just mind-crushing monotony. I watched P-Bro's video on this while I edited, and I'm going to agree wholeheartedly with him. I can't in good conscience recommend you Platinum Suicide Squad right now. I highly advise waiting for the first DLC installment, as the world is more bare than old Mother Hubbard's cupboards. Suicide Squad is a little bit spicy on the Platinum Tower of Judgment, and although I really enjoyed my time with it, this is down to being a total DC super simp and having avoided 10 to 15 hours of the overall grind. Have you got the Suicide Squad Platinum? Are you going to? If so, fucking why? Be good to each other.